taking the first trip out there to the new homestead tomorrow, and we salvaged a ton of wood over the last few years, loading them up on the trailers and drop it off, so when we move out there in the spring, everything's there and ready to go. All right, trip 1 of 3 is in the books. We had a bunch of lumber and fencing materials that we wanted to bring out so that we could get prepared for the animals that are going to move out on trip 3 to the new homestead. You're told, or we hear a lot of people say, if you're going to start a new homestead or you got to move a farm, just to leave everything and start over. With the current costs of building materials particularly, we kind of did the quick math on what we had salvaged over the last few years and decided that that was not going to be a viable option. We're sitting on probably close to $5,000 of fencing materials and lumber that we've accumulated over the years, and with fuel and everything, we're under $1,000 for a trip out there. So we decided to include all the building materials. A lot of the stuff we've gotten was fence posts and wire and cattle gates and horse gates, and a ton of skids and lumber that we've gotten either from salvage or from farm auctions or used sales on Kijiji. We really felt that we needed to bring it even with the costs incurred, so and we went ahead and planned an extra trip. The new place is about 9 hours east of here, so it was a bit of a tough decision, but overall a better one than trying to replace that amount of material. So the first trip out, we decided my wife Nancy would take the first trailer and I would stay home and take care of the animals in the homestead. And I guess on the way out was a pretty decent trip for her, but on the way back was where all the fun, exciting things happened. I'll let her tell that story because I can't speak to it.
Yeah, it was quite an exciting time. I haven't actually seen the place yet. Chris went out when it was for sale and he got to see it and tour it. I toured it on video. He had his camera phone, but I wanted to go out there in person and see it, so I talked him into letting me go. And unfortunately though, by the time we got there, the first day was pretty good. The driving was all right. The roads were okay. It was supposed to be a nice weekend, all weekend for driving actually, but you know how Canada can be for weather. By the time we got there though, it was dark and it was really foggy, so it was really difficult to see anything. I didn't actually get into the house either yet because we don't have possession, but I was able to see a bit of the yard and the barn, and it's quite nice. Very excited to see what Chris does with it. It's an old Quonset, and the plan is for him to turn it into a bit of a horse barn with some stalls and a little chicken room for my chickens in there and keep everybody warm since we are heading up north. Barn's pretty important for animals. But then, yeah, anyway, so the next morning I woke up and it had been snowing, and there wasn't supposed to be snow, but it had snowed quite a bit and it was still snowing. And so by the time I hit the road in the morning, it was dark, foggy, the highway was snow covered, so it was kind of a scary drive. It was worrisome, and then when I came out of the snow cover, I got into the freezing rain, and that's where it got really bad. The roads were just black ice everywhere, and unfortunately I did end up in the ditch. I lost control going around a corner, and I had an empty trailer. I don't know if you guys have ever pulled a trailer, but once they get fishtailing, they'll just take you with them. So I ended up in the ditch, but I got towed out. I got winched out. Is that what they call them, where you do the winch? Yep. We got winched out of there and hit the road, white knuckled it home. Did get a ticket too because I didn't have a proper breakaway cord on the trailer, just to add insult to injury for my trip. But other than that, it was a great adventure to go out there. Definitely learned some of the back roads, and we're definitely going to try some different routes for our next trip. Right, Chris? Yeah.
First trip was to be my wife so that I could stay home and take care of the animals and the homestead. And yeah, it didn't work out too well. Pretty scary situations, a couple of them, more particularly ending up in the ditch, which is something you never want to do with a trailer load of stuff. Near miss with a semi-truck who has also lost control in the same area of road that my wife lost control of. Fortunately, nobody was hurt and no property damage, so that's all good. And we're hoping that the next two trips go a lot smoother than the first one. It was a bit scary dealing with my wife being 9 hours away and stuck in a ditch. Was stressful for me. Anybody traveling or living in Canada knows that planning a road trip through the winter months is nearly impossible. There's no way to predict what the weather's going to do or what the road conditions are going to be. So we will do our best and hope that trip 2 and 3 go much smoother than trip 1. So yeah, stick around, and we are going to share every bit of the journey as we can. And anybody thinking about doing this homesteading thing, please comment, reach out. We'd love to help explain how we were able to do this and help others achieve it.